This is going to be a compilation of kitchen stuff, stoves, pots and pans, eating utensils, cooking gear, and different fuel types and storage containers. I'll go through each segment one at a time and probably break them in between. The minimum for a cooking pot is it's got to cook efficiently with at least 2 cups in it. If it's smaller than that, you're wasting your time other than boiling water. Many people do just boil water as a matter of making their food. To where I started with, I've had this pot for many years, stainless steel with a lid, 1.5 liters, it looks like 3/4 of a pound. This is what I bought when I retired, and I've been using it for many years. It was an MSR cook kit set. It came with 2 pots, 1 little frying pan, and 2 handles that allow you to do different things. This frying pan is not quite big enough. It's a little smaller than that one, but it's not quite big enough. But you can see that this pot with the lid, which is much larger, weighs the same as that pot with the lid. Where its peer of this pot with a handle and a lid is several ounces lighter than that one. This one's 7.5. I don't know if that shows. This one was about 11. This one with the lid and handle is about 11. So this was the MSR cook kit that I bought initially, and it has served us very well. When we've gone on long hikes, this is the only pot we take. It's plenty wide, it's plenty deep, and it holds 1 liter to right there, which is 4 cups. And every pot you consider needs to make the 2-pot standard. In an effort to get lighter, I bought this other MSR set. Well, not a set. Titanium pot. The pot from the middle of size of that one goes in this. Beware of ridges on the bottom. They're harder to clean. This has no non-stick surface. Again, it holds 1 liter up to there. So 2 cups is about down to here. Easy to cook in. But titanium gets hot real fast and it gets cold real fast. And it is very easy to burn stuff in it. So this is something I could use if I was going to heat food and was going to pay real close attention to it, and had a stove that had a regulator on it so you could control the temperature. This is a nice setup. Pot and lid. This one, little over 6 ounces, less than the others. So that one is lighter than that one. This is a Toaks titanium pot. It has a textured surface, which is a little harder to clean. It has a dimple in the bottom, which strengthens it, but it is extremely lightweight. The pot itself is barely 2 ounces, and with the lid on, it's barely 3. This is the perfect thing to use if all you're going to do is heat water. You're going to heat water, pour it into oatmeal, heat water, pour it into coffee, heat water, do something else. But in terms of cooking something in that, no way. It won't work. I did try an experiment with a small titanium frying pan. Not a good plan. Also, be cautious. You'll find some nesting cook sets where the pans will stack up, and they'll have these little ridges in them, which are a pain in the ass to clean. That was not a big enough frying pan, so we did buy a bigger one. This one's by Sea to Summit. And it is, as I recall, about 3/4 of it. No, it's a 1/2 pound, and this cooks trout well. So recommended items would be this for just water, a middle-sized pot for a single, maybe a bigger one for dual, and a lot depends on if you're going to be backpacking or if you're going to be float camping or car camping. Car camping, take heavy stuff. Take a big 2-burner Coleman stove, take a nice frying pan that's got Teflon on it, take a normal kitchen pot, or this one you could use. But it's when you get to steps below that the individual weight starts to matter. If you're going to move light and fast, and you're going to eat cold food and you just want a cup of hot chocolate, take that. If you're going to be cooking a meal for two, take one of these two. So that's what I have always used. Based on speaking to Don about cook kits, I said, let me go down to see what they're selling these days. And I went down to Sportsman's Warehouse and I saw this. And as a matter of fact, I was so impressed with it, I bought it. It's got a textured bottom, which will catch the heat well. And it comes with, this is the same bowl that I routinely carry. And this is slightly heavier cup than what I routinely carry. But I carry that one, which is heavier than this one, because I like the feel of it. This has a nice feel. This is a fine bowl. And what you've got here, and this goes back to the 2-quart plan, you've got this, which you can cook in, fried trout if you want. Not quite as big as that. Have to cut the heads and tails off to get them in there, but you could do it. And this is a bigger pot than it looks. Here's 2 cups of water. This is the 2-cup test. And you can see that this is going to be spread out over the flame. It's going to give you the ability to do things in there without splooshing over the edges. And if you were going to cook things one at a time, you don't need to take this. You could just take this bowl and cup, get another bowl and cup if there's 2 of you. But this is a slick setup, and it's Teflon, so it's going to clean up. This titanium pot is hard to clean, and you got to scrub it a lot. This one you pretty much just wipe out and you're done. But this, Don, highly recommended. Total weight under a pound, 14 ounces. If you left this part off, you're at 9.8 ounces, 10 ounces to do that. I'd probably, plus the handle, which is 2 ounces. So the only challenge might be if you've got both of these that are hot, maybe cooking something in this one and you're flipping this one onto the stove, getting this thing in and out when these pans are hot and you've got an unstable cooking surface might be a little bit gamey. But I was impressed enough with it that I bought it. And I think that on some of my hikes, I could take just this pan and a bowl and a cup. So that's pan stuff. Okay, stoves. I'm going to explain them all a little bit, and then I will fire them all up and get them running. This is a remarkable stove. It's made out of an old beer bottle. It's called a white box stove, and it runs on alcohol. I use heat, which has a little more thermal depth to it. But this stove is the lightest thing going. And if you're doing this trip, that's a perfect combination. This stove weighs less than an ounce. Add whatever amount of heat you need, and by the way, if you fill it up to there, it'll burn for 15 minutes. It takes about 5 minutes to boil 2 cups of water. This is the MSR, what's it called? Pocket Rocket. This is the one you want to get. They got real cute and tried to make a next generation one that folds up like a doggone origami puzzle. I mean, you fold it down here and you fold it up here and you fold it down here and you fold it, twist it around, and you do all this stuff so that you could make the container that holds it this big instead of that big. Don't get a Pocket Rocket 2. There's really no difference in their utility. This one's just easier and it's bulletproof. This is the Coleman variant, and you can buy this windscreen for it, which is nice. These all pretty much weigh the same, but it does take some dexterity to thread that through there. But the thing that the Coleman has, that the Pocket Rocket stone is, it's got a piezo igniter, and so you don't have to carry this or this along to light it. If you're lighting it with this, you're going to burn your fingers anyway. But this is the one that we have used a lot, especially because it comes with a windscreen. This one with the windscreen, 4.9 ounces. This one without a windscreen, 3 ounces. So it's that's a little bit lighter by the weight of the windscreen, but the windscreen works well. But if I was telling you to get one, I'd say get this. Don't get the origami one. This is one that I gave to my nephews a few years ago. It is, I'm sure, a Chinese knockoff, bought on eBay for like $12. And it, again, has a piezo igniter. Doesn't look terribly strong. But they've been using it without difficulty for a while. I will light all these and get them going shortly. This is the wood stove that I told you about, petroleum soaked cotton balls. This is what I always have in my pocket. This little flint and steel, which will always throw a spark into a cotton ball, real cotton, not polyester, and you will start a fire, prevent yourself from dying. So those are the different stoves. I want you to see this one because it is slick. As a matter of fact, sometimes I take this in a small pot when I go TDY just to be able to heat water in my room. I buy a thing of heat when I get there at the auto parts store. So let me get them turned on and I'll show them to you. Okay, I'm going to start these one at a time. You can't see the fire on this one. There, it's lit. And it'll warm up for a little while. I'm going to start the MSR here. This is the Pocket Rocket. Bulletproof. This is the Coleman Gigapower stove. I'm going to try and start it with the piezo a couple times. There you go. This is the Origami Pocket Rocket 2. Again, no starting mechanism. This is the cheap Chinese knockoff, $12, $15, I think. Oh, it has a piezo too. So I'll turn it on, try the igniter. No working, Chinese. Like I say, you want the Pocket Rocket. Ah, this one is not engaging to get the gas out. Let's write that one off. Don't buy one from Amazon from China. It needs to go on one of these other gas tanks. But you can see here that this one, you can see the flames starting to come out the side. So here's a cup of water. I'm going to put it on there. Now, as you choose your cook kit items, you can see that this one is just about as narrow a pot as that can handle. These all work really well, and they're producing a lot of heat. And diameter-wise, any of the pots we saw will not waste any heat escaping out the sides. So there's the, you know, you can turn up the blowtorch. But this is the one I like the best. But this one I like a lot because of the windscreen. So you can see that one heating the water there. And it really is a pretty remarkable technology. Nothing can go wrong with it. However, in places where fires are restricted, they won't allow you to use this kind of stove because you can't turn it off. But, like I say, if you're going on a long hike on a cold day and you just want to be able to make yourself a cup of something warm to drink, good to go. Maybe you could cook ramen on it, need a bigger pot, 2 cups plus. But in general, I would just use that for heat and water. These others you can cook on, even simmer. And So those are the stove options that I have. Like I say, you can't turn that one off. It goes till it's done. And that water will be boiling in probably 3.5 minutes from now. The wood stove, the last one here, I like a lot because, like I say, if you take this, you can eliminate fuel, stove, still have a pot. You feed wood into it through this little hole here, just pencil-sized sticks, and control the flame that way. And okay. And then you start feeding wood in, and if you're going to cook on wood, what you want to do is take the outside of your pan and coat it with a little bit of soap. Just smear it around, and this will get all black, but when you go to wash it, the soap will wipe it right off. So putting soap on your pans if you're going to be cooking on wood is a good idea. It won't smoke that much. These do not smoke much at all. And what I found is when I take this camping, if I cook on it, then I get water out of the stream and I put it on there and I boil it and then I cook with it. So I don't have to purify that water. So the only water you really have to purify is the water that you're going to carry in your drinking water. So that works very well. It's just a couple of quarts a day. It takes 5 minutes to boil water on that. You can see this one here is already boiling. And you ought to have one of those just because they're so cool. White box stove. Costs $29, I think. Recycled beer bottle. So those are the different stove options. I've never tried to cook on one of these where I'm like cooking fish or something. You're much better off with these where you can control the temperature better. But those are the stove options that I have. This one on a different canister just to see if it'll work. There you go. So it's not compatible with that mating system. But it worked, the piezo igniter worked. You don't have to take one of these. I would never be without one of these. Lastly is kitchen accessories. This is the bowl and cup I take. Weighs 4 ounces. This one weighs 3. It's thinner. I just like this better. Particularly I like drinking hot chocolate out of a thicker cup. The one that I talked about in that cook set would meet my standards. In terms of utensils, a number of things you can do. You're never going to need a knife. This is a little tiny lightweight fork and spoon. I prefer these kind better. I generally carry this in my fishing gear if I'm carrying a little thing of peaches or applesauce or something like that. Sardines when I go fishing. There are long-handled spoons. This is a titanium one, and actually I think the titanium one, 0.6, is heavier than the plastic one, 0.5. But I do like to always have one metal utensil in case you have to fish something out of the fire or something like that. There are a couple of different kinds of sporks, fork one and spoon at the other. Uco, they also make a titanium one that I have, and this is kind of an old standard. For cleaning up, I use this, scrubby on one side, and on a Teflon coated pan, you won't struggle with it like you will titanium. You may need this, I generally don't. Rhonda gave me this, which is pretty good. It works as a spatula for fish. If you're gonna be making pancakes or something like that, you'd probably want a real spatula, but these will melt. This is very popular kitchen knife, Victorinox, either serrated edge or straight edge. And I forgot to talk about this in the stoves. This is a little device that makes an inherently unstable stove stable. And then there's condiment containers. You don't need that much salt, but that's how big the salt shaker is. You don't have to fill it up. Soap. I wouldn't need that much soap in a month. Well, 2 weeks. Put it in something smaller. This is actually my suntan lotion. Suntan lotion. It's big enough that I can put my finger in the end, and I don't take the whole tube. I just put some in and take it. But these things for Clorox for water purification, I use one this size for oil because it doesn't leak. This kind you can fill with peanut butter and jelly, or you can put refried beans in it and take your tortillas and make your tortillas there. You can put salsa in one of these if you wanted to. It just depends on how much weight you want to carry. This is a Pepto-Bismol bottle, and they do not leak. So this is good to put the heat in. This is a peanut butter jar. They are a pain in the ass to clean, but this will carry, several days worth of granola and keep it dry. And if you do, granola is one of the best foods you can take on a trail, especially the stuff Rhonda makes. It's very calorie dense. It tastes good. It's healthy for you. And I buy this whole milk powder that it's like drinking cream. And a quarter of a cup of this stuff's 170 calories. So it's a lot of hiking calories. The oil I use is peanut oil, but that's sort of how I put things together. I can't really eat the mountain house sort of stuff. I had a bunch of it, and none of that's all exotic. It's pad thai, I don't even know what that is. Indian this and that, and curry such and such, and it just doesn't agree with me now. And Rhonda doesn't eat dairy or wheat, gluten. So, anything that's got cheese in it, she can't eat. So that's why we have gone to building our own dried foods, ordering a package of different dried vegetables that we will assemble. I'll probably try and dry some venison from the deer that I shoot this year. I could cut up some of the steaks we got and just dry them in the oven and save them and then rehydrate them when we're backpacking. But that's sort of soup to nuts on equipment and how we travel. The secret is don't take too much. One pot, maybe two. Basic utensils, basic cup and bowl. One spoon really is all you need. And downsize the stuff you have into containers that are light. Some people take a freezer sandwich bag and put their dehydrated food in it and boil water in it like the titanium pot and pour it in there and let it rehydrate in there and just eat it with the long spoon out of a freezer bag. So there are ways to get much lighter than we are, but I am comfortable assigning a few ounces here and there to things that make things more pleasant for us. But I looked at the MSR kit at Sports Authority, and it's too gadgety for me, Don. This is a good start. And that might be what I would recommend that you consider starting with, because you can fry fish in it, you can cook noodles in it, you can make stew in it, you could cook marmot in it. No, you wouldn't be able to boil it for 45 minutes, which it takes. So those are, I looked at the MSR kit too. It's got little pots, couple bowls that snap on the end, looks like it's just made for the space shuttle or something. Folding spoons. Come on, that stuff's just going to be a pain in the ass. It's going to be hard to keep clean. So the other thing is, again, if this is a basin I like to wash in, it's a gold pan. I don't take it backpacking, however, but I will take it in a car camp. And you can heat water up, put it in here. It's wide enough you can get your hands into it, wash your face, but it doesn't take gallons of water to fill up. I took one of these that was a water container, 2.5 gallon, and when it sprung a leak, I just cut the bottom off. And this, you could fold this up and stick it in your pack and have a wash basin or something to haul water or put out a fire or something like that for very little weight. I'm not sure exactly how much it weighs, but I bet it's not 2 ounces. And Yeah, 3 ounces. So, things like that that make life more comfortable are worth doing, but you wanna be careful on where you squander weight. And, electronic gadgets is the culprit. You know, a GPS and a watch and a camera and spare batteries and a power bank and a this and that, you know, you just weighed as much as your whole kitchen. So, anyway, that's, I'll assemble this and send you the link. Hope it helps.